welcome to another episode of the World Talk. This is your rapid fire news section. Carlos, why don't you take it away?
Right. So Texas begins to lift all coronavirus restrictions next week, and the other southern states of America are following pursuit. Now, of course, the southern states of America, like the southern states in the United States of America, have always been skeptical of the mask mandates and have frequently protested against them. So this, while is not surprising, it is certainly not the best course of action. And Mississippi is actually being more radical and plans to get rid of all mask mandates even sooner.
I don't feel like this is a very good idea, seeing as we've had several alarming incidents, especially in the United States alone, what with the incident on January 6th, Trump's second impeachment trial, and so on and so forth. And President Biden is really trying to come in here and pass a lot of executive orders related to the coronavirus. So I don't think dropping out of the race at this point is the most smart thing for these states to be doing. Anyway, in other news, from the other side of the globe, the Attorney General for Australia, Christian Porter, is being denying claims that he raped a 16-year-old girl when he was a teenager. This specific allegation came to light after the same girl committed suicide a year ago, but it is unknown at the current. It is suspected not to be, but it is still unknown whether the this tragic suicide, is connected to this rape incident. Chris Porter, in his defense 2 weeks ago, did attempt to accuse another member of parliament of partaking in this, because all that was known in general is that there was a member of the Australian Parliament who was the culprit.
Now, of course, due to the unfortunate death of the woman, this will be much more difficult to verify. And the norm, and as it should be the norm, is always believe the woman first. However, this might face pushback after the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard scandal, in which Amber Heard is found to be lying. So this might affect the credibility that any of these sexual scandal claims around the world, especially to do with powerful people, might be pursued. Hopefully the truth comes to light, whether it is Attorney General Chris Porter or it's another member of the parliament. However, pointing fingers never makes you look more innocent than you portray yourself to be. Moving on, some European Union countries like France and Germany are easing vaccine criteria after the supplies fill up. Now, this is a bit interesting, Pedro, because as you know, the European Union and Europe as a continent in general, excluding the United Kingdom, has been relatively slow in vaccinations and have, in my opinion, bungled up the vaccine rollout, especially, and most of that fault falls on Ursula von der Leyen. What do you think?
I completely agree with what you're saying. The vaccines, especially here, have been definitely slow. It's been a very sluggish process. So I'm kind of confused at the easing of vaccine criteria for France and Germany, two of the most powerful countries in the region. But honestly, I'm just waiting to hear an explanation for this. And once we have that, we can really start to kind of see what their mindset is behind, like I said, two of the most powerful countries in the continent at this point. Anyway, continuing on from news from last week, the Myanmar coup is still ongoing, and so far security forces have killed at least 8 or 9 protesters, I believe it is. It's obviously a very tragic incident, but it is still not confusing, but it is still interesting that the coup is going on after this long, that it's not ended. And it's going to be very, I keep using the word, but it's going to be very intriguing and interesting to see how this coup will end up, whether it will succeed or whether a counter coup will be held in place. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, it's no secret that the population of Myanmar doesn't want the military junta to be in charge, even though previously to the military rule, they really only had one leader, Aung San Suu Kyi, and her party. So in some ways, you could say it was ruled by only one political party, but it seemed that the people of Myanmar wanted her to be in charge of the country. And now that, apparently the elections were fraudulent and the military has taken place and the coup started, I'm sure many of you know that, but hopefully that the coup resolves, and even if international intervention is needed, I don't mean deploying troops, but economic pressures, so that the junta, hold another election, or to stop being so authoritarian, would be the best possible outcome. Moving on, President Biden of the United States of America has stated that they will have enough vaccines for all American adults living in the country by the end of May. Now, as we all know, during former President Trump's governance of America, the COVID vaccine and COVID pandemic was, not really organized, and we saw the sky high infection rates and deaths. America being the number one country for COVID deaths and infections. And now President Biden has come in, and we see that the vaccination rate in America is going very well compared to what many other people speculated. Still not beating the United Arab Emirates or Israel in vaccinations, but certainly rising up the ranks very, very quickly. Now that it seems that by the end of May, there will be enough vaccines to vaccinate all adults in the country. I have no doubt that by the end of 2021, America will see some semblance of normality out of the year-long pandemic closures.
I'm kind of skeptical of it, though, to be honest. Biden did previously announce that they would have all these vaccines by, I believe it was June or July. Now he's pushing the deadline a little bit back to May. I don't know if perhaps the plan is going, perhaps the plan that President Biden has laid out is logical and will on paper work out. However, if that will actually carry out into practice, especially with such responses that we're seeing, for example, here in Europe that we just talked about a couple minutes ago, or perhaps in other countries, I don't know if President Biden's plan is going to work out I don't know if it's going to work out word for word. So I'm going to have to disagree with you on that point of having a sense of normality by 2021 due to vaccines. I would say to push that deadline back a little bit further, but I'm still interested to see where President Biden takes these executive orders of his. Additionally, more news on the United States. The United States and Iran are back at it again with some conflicts. These conflicts come in the form of rockets.
Having fun with rockets.
Yes, indeed. Not very much fun for the rest of the world, but maybe for Iran and the U.S. Yes. Now, this has come after many tensions have been brought up over the past couple of years between Iran and the United States. The United States, obviously, being a country of the free, as they claim, and Iran having been known for sponsoring Hezbollah, the terrorist group that committed many terrorist acts in the West. Those two have always been at odds with each other, but now it seems to be escalating a little bit more, not only verbal disagreements, but also it seems physical disagreements.
As we saw with the U.S. Missile attacks on Iranian buildings in Iraq, I believe.
Indeed, and also the murder of one of the top Iranian nuclear scientists that happened earlier in 2020, which was all but confirmed to be done by the Israelis, which, as we know, are allies with the United States. But we'll just have to wait to see what this situation develops into, if there will be international aid or international intervention. Perhaps the UN Security Council could step in and pass some resolutions to help ease the tension. We'll just have to wait and see on that one.
In other news, German intelligence agencies are paying closer attention to the far-right political party Alternative für Deutschland. As we know, the AfD is one of the most controversial and the furthest right political party in Germany, and has been the center of many different viewpoints that at least the general German populace after the horrors of World War II don't want to go back to, and they seem not to. They have never held extreme amounts of power in the German political sphere, but that seems to be changing in recent months. And so I guess this is the current German government's way of trying to prevent this, paying closer attention to their actions and to hopefully prevent any problems from arising.
Yeah, Alternative für Deutschland does have a couple of concerning goals, such as restricting or even outright banning immigration, especially in the form of refugees. But I guess if they actually win seats on parliament and are able to have influence on decisions being made in the country. It would pose a little bit of it would pose a problem to the current parties in charge, as well as perhaps the political landscape revolving around Germany. Perhaps the international opinion on Germany will shift as well. But in that sense, we'll just have to keep saying it, but we'll just have to wait and see here what Germany intends to do with these monitorings, whether they're going to step it up or whether they perhaps are just going to stop. Additionally, the U.S. infrastructure gets a near failing grade according to engineers. This is quite surprising, actually, and has been on a steady decline for the past few years. This failing grade comes as a result to infrastructure perhaps collapsing, not being inhabited, emigration, and so on. Carlos, what are your thoughts? What do you think the cause of this near failing grade in infrastructure is?
As you know, the U.S. budget doesn't allocate as much money as it should to infrastructure projects and rebuilding already deteriorating infrastructure in the States. We see multiple bridge collapses happen per year, which are deadly and fatal to many. We see some of the roads have potholes in them and are not well polished over. There is, especially in the Midwest and not the coast of America, infrastructure does get worse and worse. So it is it's not surprising that U.S. infrastructure is reaching failing grades. There has not been enough monetary incentives. Well, there have been incentives, but monetary money put into fixing monetary resources into fixing U.S. infrastructure, rebuilding the bridges. We compare U.S. roads to European roads. There's a vast difference in the quality that they are. Some of them are much smoother and easy to drive on, while some American roads are, definitely not. Not to mention the drivers, but that's a different conversation topic for another episode. So, the most obvious feature would be to, increase money flowing into the U.S. Department of Infrastructure or whatever federal department views over American infrastructure. And finally, our last news story for the day. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is accused of several sexual assaults, and this is coming after the nursing home scandals during the New York lockdown. Andrew Cuomo is facing possibly the worst kind of the worst kind of nightmare for a politician. Nobody likes you, right? His popularity rates have been decreasing rapidly in the past months, especially after now not only one but two women have come forward on Governor Cuomo's actions towards women, especially with some of his aides. And now the New York City Mayor, Bill de Blasio, is now coming after Cuomo, saying that if the two sexual assaults are to be corroborated, and they are true, that he just stepped down immediately. Now, I don't know what Bill de Blasio's angle is on attacking the governor. I know they've had grievances in the past. Maybe Mayor de Blasio is posing ready to replace Cuomo and the governorship. We do not know yet. We do know that the mayor is facing a challenge from Andrew Yang for the New York City mayorship. But of course, Andrew Cuomo needs to either fix his image, prove that these assaults are either fake, or if they are true, find a way to navigate them so he doesn't keep losing popularity, especially coming after, he started off the pandemic with high approval ratings for his handling, and they quickly deteriorated due to the scandal and cover-up of the nursing homes, and now it's falling even further due to these sexual assaults. Pedro, your opinion?
I generally agree with you completely. If Cuomo is guilty of these sexual assaults or not, that part still remains to be proven, so we can't really debate on that currently. However, even if they don't turn out, even if he is cleared, even if they just turn out to be fakes or something along those lines, he's still going to have to recover his popularity, not only from this, but like you said before, from the nursing home scandal. If he does want to be in the race to be the governor of New York for in a re-election,
and we know he does have presidential aspirations.
Indeed, he's definitely going to have to step up his game, shall we say, in terms of, like you said, either navigating or disproving these claims. And even then, he's probably not going to have the same ratings as he did near the beginning of this lockdown.
Exactly.
Well, that's been it for today, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe, and share the video with your friends.